This is one of my favorite pictures. It's Frank Zappa and I in 1988, just 20 years old. And my friend and I decided to go see a concert like normal people without trying to meet the band. Okay, just for one time I wanted to go to a show and buy a ticket. So I was living in Dover, New Hampshire at the time, and my mother lent me her car. We drove down to Boston to see Frank Zappa at the Beacon. Like normal people, we bought tickets and sat in the audience, and we loved the show. After the show, we got in my mother's car, me and my girlfriend, and suddenly there was knocking on my window. And my girlfriend's like, there's a guy knocking on the window. So I rolled down the window, and it was none other than the bass player of Frank Zappa, Scott Tunis. Scott was asking for a ride. He said, the tour bus just took off without me. I was busy signing autographs, and they left me. Can you please give me a ride to my hotel? It's about to snow. And we're like, yeah, of course. So Scott got in the back of the car, and we had to drive really slow because it started to snow really hard. And we proceeded to his hotel. And he ordered pizza, thanked us for the ride, and told us that it's definitely too dangerous to drive all the way back up to New Hampshire because it was a blizzard at this point. So he had 2 beds in his hotel room, so we felt safe. But after the pizza, we had burping contest, and we were bouncing on the beds and having a great time. It was really funny. And I took it upon myself to write our name on the guest list for every single show for the rest of the tour. Right? We rescued him, so we deserve to be on the guest list. And not just for the show. We wanted to go to see every single sound check on the tour. For me, the sound check is just as important as the show. I went to all of the shows. My friend could only go to the next one, which was in Portland. In Portland, Maine, my friend and I sat in the front row for the sound check, and there was like 3 other very lucky Zappa fans. They must know the band. Not anybody gets in to see a Zappa sound check. So there's 5 of us in the front row, and we're watching the sound check. The sound check was almost 3 hours long, by the way. I accidentally belched, like I do, and Frank stopped the music, and he said, "Who did that?" And everybody else in the front row stopped and looked at me, and I had to fess up. I was like, "Me. I'm sorry." He called me up onto the stage. He goes, "Come here, come up here." I'm like, okay. I was expecting to get yelled at. No. He asked me to come up on stage and said, "Can you do that again?" I was like, "Burp?" He goes, "Yeah, can you do it again?" I go, "Not on command. I need a Diet Coke." He goes, "Go get her a Pepsi. Get her." I go, "It's got to be Diet Coke. There's extra bubbles in there." He's like, "Go get her a Diet Coke." He told some runner to go get me a Diet Coke. So the whole band's enjoying the break. They're still on stage, but they're having a breather, okay? So I have to drink a Diet Coke really fast in front of the band. And I burped into this thing called a synclavier. It's like a special keyboard thing. I belched like 3 or 4 times, and they recorded them. And they used my burps at every single show for the rest of that tour. They used them in a song, mostly in a song called A Few Moments with Brother A. West. You can hear my belches. And the album that you can hear those burps on is called The Best Band You've Never Heard in Your Life. They were using my burps to mock TV evangelists. So anyways, I went on the rest of the tour, and these pictures that you see here are from the last show on the American tour in '88. So in fact, this was Frank Zappa's last ever American show that these pictures are taken at. This is on Long Island. Long Island. Frank gave me and about, 20 other Zappa fans a yellow apron that day during sound check. And he said we can dance on stage. And he asked us to be what he calls the Long Island Dance Ensemble. So he wanted us to wear those yellow aprons and come up on stage on command and wear orange hot mitts, the kind of mitts you use when you're taking something hot out of the oven, and those yellow aprons and dance crazy on stage. And he called us the Long Island Dance Ensemble. So one of the pictures is me on stage talking to Frank, and the other picture is after the show backstage. His singer, Ike Willis, took my disc camera, which is a pretty shitty camera, and took the picture of me and Frank. And so half of my face is missing from the picture, but that's Ike for you. Anyways, after that show, Frank went to Europe and did many more shows. I didn't go on that tour. And then, as most people know, unfortunately, Frank passed away December 1993. Frank Zappa is the one who gave me the name Dr. Dot. Before meeting Frank Zappa, I was Dot Jagger. Everybody called me Dot Jagger because I love the Stones. But Frank kept calling me Dr. Dot because I was massaging his hands and massaging everybody else in the band. So he would say, "Where's the doctor? Go get the doctor, damn it. Where's Dr. Dot?" And I was like, I am going to take that name. I like it. So that's why I love Frank Zappa so much, not just because of his lyrics and his amazing music, but he's super funny, and he crowned me Dr. Dot. So I have a very big spot in my heart for Frank Zappa, his music, his alumni, and his family. I love Frank Zappa. You should listen to him. You'll love him too. Frank Zappa knew to make the best music, you have to hire the best musicians. Robert Martin is an amazing vocalist. He plays keyboards and multiple different horns. He and I are still friends to this day. In fact, we speak a couple times a month. That's Mike Keneally, a guitar connoisseur. He's also played in a band called Death Clock and the Aristocrats. And Dweezil Zappa, he did 2 songs at that Long Island show. He played guitar on Stairway to Heaven and Whipping Post. That's Frank's oldest son. And Ed Mann, he played percussion and the gong. Unfortunately, he passed away recently. But there we have Ike Willis, Frank Zappa's amazing vocalist. He has a voice like butter. Yeah, I love the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, but my father pretty much raised me on Frank Zappa music. So I saw Frank Zappa in 1980, which means I was just 13. And so for me, listening to Frank Zappa was, normal. I grew up listening to Zappa. Some people don't get Frank Zappa music. They just don't understand it. Maybe they're not supposed to. You should at least give it a try. You should start with Joe's Garage, then Tinseltown Rebellion, Chic Your Booty, One Size Fits All. It's an education. Frank Zappa.